Okay, let me just say I know what you're thinking right off the bat. Dude, get with the times. I apologize for not doing this sooner. It's almost a year late, I know. It must have slipped my mind. Anyway, yeah, I saw Friday the 13th, the one released in 2009, that is, appropriately released on a Friday the 13th, and, well, what can I say? I honestly didn't really like the film. I couldn't connect to any of the characters. They were all very one-dimensional and lacked any sort of characteristic I could tag along with. Okay, that sounded a bit weird, but you get my point. This is just another mindless slasher film with no real backstory to it, and I'm tired of horror movies that have no stories to them. We're just given a handful of people that we know are gonna die. We just don't know when or how. The only backstory to this movie is that Jason kidnapped some girl because she reminds him of his mother, who was killed via beheading in 1980 by a camp counselor. Basically, he keeps her secluded in his underground lair. Her brother rescues her and they kill Jason, or so they think. At the end of the movie, they're at the river they dumped Jason into, when Jason suddenly breaks through the wooden dock and grabs her, and then the movie ends, thus leaving an opening for a sequel to the film, which I honestly wouldn't be interested in. Like I said before, there was nothing of interest in this movie. It was just a mindless slasher with no real backstory to it, just a bunch of drunken assholes being killed one by one by the infamous horror legend Jason Voorhees. I will admit that I enjoyed Derek Mears' portrayal of Jason. Apparently, he's a very nice and gentle guy in real life, so the producers were worried that he wouldn't be able to pull off the role of the serial killer Jason Voorhees, but I thought he did it very well. One thing that pissed me off about this film was all the sex scenes. I mean, what the fuck? Am I watching a goddamn porno, or am I watching a horror movie? It feels like they were just throwing it in just to say, hey, we have fucking sex films in this movie, come watch it. After all, they serve no purpose whatsoever. Now, on to the kills. The kills were decent, pretty creative. I think that my favorite one was when Jason shot that guy in the head with a bow and arrow in the boat, then his head landed on the steering wheel and he charged right into that girl in the water. She was all disoriented and shit in the middle of the river, and then she saw Jason staring at her. Could you imagine how much that would suck? Man. Overall, though, the film was really nothing special. In fact, I don't even remember some parts of the movie because of how disappointing the film was. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good either. It was just an extremely disappointing depiction of the legendary Friday the 13th franchise. If you haven't seen it yet, don't worry, you're not missing anything memorable. If they do make a sequel, I doubt I'll see it. Oh, and in case anybody notices, I'm using a new mic for this video, so let me know what you think about it. Alright, so finally, the rating for this movie. So what do I rate this film? Well, this may seem a bit low to some people, but I give this movie a 3 out of 10. It was just a very disappointing film that just did not feel like a Friday the 13th movie. I mean, honestly, if the killer was not wearing a hockey mask, I would never assume it was just Jason Voorhees. I mean, it was just bad. It just felt like any other old horror movie. Well, that's about what I thought about this movie. Very, very disappointing.